And the Yucaipa Valley Historical Society. It's good to see a nice crowd out here. My name is Sahara Quinn. This is Candy Chancellor. And we'll be giving out the announcements before the program starts. First of all, though, I'm going to have everybody stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh my God. Ready? Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Y'all remember the words. I'll try and keep all the announcements short, but I do have a long list. As always, we are looking for volunteers, especially as we're getting close to the Music and Arts Festival. We do need volunteers filling the booth. And always in the museum, we need volunteers to do all the day-to-day dose of work. So if you are interested, see you after the program. Also, this year we are giving 6 scholarships ranging from $250 up to $1,000 each. If you have somebody you know that they can be going to college or a trade school, we left it kind of open. There's applications over on the desk where you came in, so take one on the way. We do have exciting news. Thanks to Lenore Will and Steve Mar, we are now on newspapers.com. All of the newspapers back in 1912, they are searchable. And it's a wonderful thing if you're doing any research or genealogy. Very good resource for you. The restroom is down that way on the right at the end. And please do help yourself to refreshments. Now, we are doing a membership drive. So if anybody would like to become a member of the Yucaipa Valley Historical Society, we would love it. And it's only $20 a year, which gives you quarterly newsletters that will be direct mailed to you instead of email. We found out is what a lot of people would rather have something they can hold than they can look at. We have applications for membership up at the desk also. We have a bunch of good programs coming up. I breathed too hard. On April 1st, we'll be having Shannon Ray. She's a local author. She does a talk about the Mentone area, and she said she might have a surprise for us, so watch your newsletters. May 5th and 6th will be at the Music and Arts Festival on California Street, close to the roundabout. Stop by and see all of our fun stuff. We've got some new maps and things that we'll be displaying. June 3rd is Bridget Lawler, and she does a program on photo preservation. And that is one that you'll want to attend for sure. And remember, they're always the first Saturday of the month. On July 1st, we'll be having an ice cream social and art auction. That's going to be our other fundraiser this year. On August 5th, some of you were here for Bob and Lenore's talk on What on Earth Is It? Well, they'll be doing a part 2. And I believe you're going to, oh, you're not Lenore. Anyway, part 2 will also have a Stump the Experts portion. And now I'm going to turn it over to Candy so she can introduce our speaker.
Okay, prior to that, we have our tea on March 25th. We have the tickets here available. It is really fun. It's wonderful food and lots of it. And this is a sampling of our door prizes up here on the front in the display that we give away. And there's a lot of them. And they're really nice. So, anyway.
And that's not all of them, just about that one more.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear, what was happening on Sunday?
Our tea, our annual tea, it's called the Secret Garden. It's held here in the museum. And it's really something fun to attend. So we do have the tickets available here. Okay, our speaker today, we got 2 for 1. Alex Peredes is a corporal with the Redlands Police Department. He's their go-to guy when they have any kind of wildlife that's found. Snakes, hawks, owls, grasslands, whatever. He also, very busy man, he also teaches self-defense. He teaches to kids, he teaches to, he keeps the Redlands Police Department officers up to date. I'm out of words. Anyway, he is here today. He's a falconer. He brought his Harris hawk. His apprentice, Jenna Beck, is also here with her red-tailed hawk. And we feel very, very privileged. So, a big hand for Alex and Jenna. Make room, guys.
Can you guys hear me fine if I talk like this? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm not a fan of mics. It'll make me nervous. I really wish you would. I really wish you would. I've been with Raptor for 23 years. I've been a Falcon since 1996. This is a Harris hawk. Harris hawks are native of Texas, Arizona, northern Mexico, and you can find them all the way to South America. The northern Sonoran Harris hawks are the bigger of the species.
Could I get you to use a microphone because the sound doesn't get back here? I have a monitor speaker here.
I can try.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Where was I?
South America. South America.
You can find them, this species of Harris hawk in South America, but they're a lot smaller. So the ones from Texas and Sonoran Desert in Arizona are the biggest of the species. They are from the Boodio family, just like the red-tails. I need to move so her bird doesn't get nervous. Chicken is her nickname. I use chicken. And this is the reason why, because she's very tame. It's just tame as a chicken. I can pet her, grab her, hold her, obviously with this in my hand. I'm not gonna be able to, unless I can clip it. How's that?
Yay.
So anyway, I gave her the nickname Chicken because she's very tame. And normally hawks don't like to be touched. Pet, they're not really pets, they're hunting partners. How did I get into this? Back in the mid-90s, I was looking at the paper and I saw an article from Fish and Game, and it was exactly this. There was a falconer with his hat on and his hair cloth in his fist. Beautiful half-page picture, and I contacted Fish and Game and said, what is this with this dude? What is he doing with this hawk? And he said, it's a Harris hawk, and it is he's a falcon. Would you like information on falconers? I said, absolutely. I got a packet this thick back in the day, and I've been doing this ever since. It is very addicting, but it's also allowed me the opportunity to be out in the field with my dog, with my bird hunting, because I enjoy being outdoors. Given, as well that I'm a police officer, I like to be out and about, not cooped up in a cubicle or anything like that. So this has been my sport, my hobby, my distraction, my outlet for the last 20-some years. I normally hunt in pairs. However, the other one is with a friend of mine at the moment. So she'll be back in probably next month or so. Chicken is a chamber-raised Harris hawk. She was raised by a falconer like myself with a breeding permit. You have to have a permit, federal license and a state license in order for you to be able to possess, hold, control, transfer, transport birds of prey. So, because she's chamber raised, she has a seamless metal band on her leg. This band is put on her leg at around 8 to 14 days of age. That's when the foot's the biggest, and that's probably the full-size feet they'll get around that age. So the band won't slip off it. This right here, I'll let her talk about a red tail, but this is a freshly caught. She caught this bird about a month ago. She's training it for falconry purposes, but I'll let her talk to you about that. Harris hawks are a different color when they're immature. They have a different lighter coloring on their chest, on the back, on the wings, on the head. This is a mature coloration, and she'll never change. This is the last color they get. Yesterday I did a presentation, and they were asking about, well, let me get back. I'm only going to fly her, hunt her for another 2 more weeks, and then I'll be stopping for the season. And they asked me why. Well, 2 things. Cottontails are out of season starting March 14th, 15th is the last day that I can legally catch cottontails with the hunting license. And around late spring, all hawks, all feathered birds will start to bolt their feathers, meaning they'll change all of their feathers. They'll drop every single one of their feathers and get a new one to grow in. Mother Nature's so great that when springtime, when there's lots of babies of everything, lots of baby hawks, baby rabbits, baby mice, baby rats, rabbits, you name it. There's an abundance of food for the hawks to eat. So at that time, she's getting mad at this red tail. At that time, they start to drop their feathers systematically. They first drop the first 2 in the center of the tail, and the center one on the wing. And then once those 2 are half grown, then the other 2 outside, and the other 2, and the other 2. So systematically, they change all of their feathers. When that's happening, a lot of their feathers have blood in them. So if she happens to, during hunting, hit one of those feathers and the feather breaks, they'll bleed because that feather it's called blood feather. It won't grow naturally that year. You'll have to wait for the following year for that feather to be complete. In order for these guys to be proficient at hunting, they have to have all their feathers, wings and tail. It's like an airplane. It's like a helicopter, almost flying with 2 out of the 5 propellers they have. It's not the same. Aerodynamics, mobility, all of that. It applies to the birds as well. What else? Oh, people ask me, well, what about the nails? These are not nails, these are talons. And the helix is the rear talon. This one's the one that does the killing. The one in the back. If they insert into the prey, putting the prey down as fast as possible, as fast as they can. You see that I have a bell on her. That's just to find her. That's just to be able to know when she's in trouble and when I lose her. If I go to hunt and she goes down into a thicket of brush, I can't see her, but I can definitely hear her. And just by her moving, it's like I can kind of locate her that way. I also put a telemetry on her, so in case if she gets lost, I can find her. Telemetry is I would call it a quarter-size transmitter with an antenna, and I attach it to her leg. And if she happens to get lost, I have this radio device that I can utilize to find her. And that's easier, just in case she does get lost. But because she's so tame, hence the name Chicken, I would rarely ever have to use that. But I still put it on anyway. No, mm-mm.
Gray,
No.
carrot, no?
Not at all. It's so small, it's not in her way at all. Yes.
I have a question. So they molt during the spring to try to get food for the babies, or after the spring is over? I didn't quite understand that. molt.
So there's a lot of food to eat, so they don't have to work as hard to eat
During the spring.
because they're during spring.
But they still molt through the springtime.
Right, and that's the reason why they molt in spring and not in the winter when it's harsh,
I gotcha.
less food, more traveling, more flying, more fighting for food. They do this when there's plenty of food, so they don't have to work too hard. Because like I said, if they're missing feathers, they're not as efficient flying. They will have to work harder flying. So. And this is my apprentice. Her name is Jenna Beck. She recently practiced bird, but I'll let her tell you about her experience. Go.
Hi guys, like you said, my name is Jenna Beck. I'm actually a teacher here in the district. I teach over at Wildwood Elementary School, and I'm a native Yucaipan. I've grown up here my entire life, so I'm happy to be here and share this with you. So this is Steve Rogers, aka Cap, for any Marvel fans. And yeah, so he was recently trapped about 3 weeks ago. And so he is a passage red tail, and that means he is a juvenile. He does not have his red tail yet, as you can see. It's more banded. When he molts this summer, that's when he'll actually get his red tail. So, but similarly, he has a belt on his ankle for being able to, help in the field. Chicken's not very happy about Cat being here, so. So I got into falconry because of Alex here. My husband works with Alex at Redlands PD, and they were on the same team back, 6 years ago, something like that. And we got together with him and his wife, and he was like, yeah, I do falconry, and I'm like, what? And so, we came over and got to see his birds and went out hunting. And at the time, it wasn't like the right time for me to get into it. But I told myself, I'm like, okay, if you're still interested in 6 years, or whatever it is that you want to do it. And sure enough, it was perfect time. So I went ahead and reached out and told him I'm ready to do this. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to share. So.
You were saying hawk bird?
Yes, so typically you will, especially as an apprentice, you will trap and train a either red-tailed hawk or American kestrel. So there's your two types of birds that you can fly as an apprentice. And so you use I always say it wrong. So yeah, okay, so we call it the BC trap. And so what it is a trap with fishing line nooses on the top of it that help to catch the bird, and you typically use a rat or mouse inside of it to entice the bird to come down on top of the trap, and then usually they try to foot at the trap and they get their foot caught in it, and that's usually how you get one of the traps.
We always see crows and hawks fighting.
Yes.
I live close by here, and there's a lot of hawks and a lot of crows. But they're always chasing each other and fighting. Did it actually go to death and kill the eggs and kill the eggs?
The reason why you see that is because both the hawks and the ravens and the crows are territorial. The ravens or the crows are defending their territory against the passing hawk. Not necessarily that the hawks go raid their nest, it's just normal behavior. In fact, we use the crows and the ravens to find the hawks. We know we see a bunch of crows harassing something on a tree. We know there's a hawk in the tree. So for us, it's easy to find, but it's a natural process in the wild. Yeah.
Two questions. How much do they weigh, and do the birds make for life?
Second question, yes, they can make for life, and the weights are different depending on the species. I believe he's about 800 grams, and she's about 1,000 grams. I can't tell you what that is in ounces, or maybe somebody can convert it. I've always done grams because it's easier, the numbers are smaller versus ounces.
Yeah.
But females are bigger than males, that's called reverse morphism. So you will find that females are the biggest, and the males are always the smallest in the bird of prey world.
I have a question for you. You guys should local, or you scout out of the area, how do you decide to test that on?
So he was actually trapped out in the Menifee area. We went out a few different times, and down in the Ontario area, it just kind of, it just kind of depends. But kind of what he said, you go out and you try to find those signs. You're looking on telephone poles, looking in places where there's like open fields where cottontail might be, and then just looking for those crows that are harassing them usually.
But then my second question, well, go ahead, you first. But my follow-up was, when you hunt down here, like, in the wash, like, what's your general area you guys hunt and run after your hot catches around? Like,
Turn the gain down.
It goes with Mr. Mousley and he makes himself known.
Well, I have a teacher voice, I can talk about it too, so.
The other microphone is working.
there's open field, out there, you need the area to go hunt.
It kind of depends. So, I mean, we have some areas here in town that I've already scouted out that we're almost to free flying stages and training with him, and so we'll be hunting locally. But it also depends on if there is cottontail there. So you can have an open field, but there might not be very much to be able to go after. It just kind of depends. So you have to look at it.
The last few mornings, I have,
Sorry, there was a little boy, but can you hold it? Go ahead.
the last 2 mornings, I have a big hawk up in the tree, and he's just screaming.
Turn it off.
Kind of screaming out, driving the rest of the birds.
That's a red
wild.
shoulder hawk.
Huh?
Red shoulder hawk.
It's a red shoulder hawk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, I thought maybe it was a baby.
No, actually, in fact, it's almost breeding season, so they're calling them mates. But the only one that does that in this area is a red shoulder hawk. It's not quite like this, a little bit smaller, it has a lot of white spots. There are a lot of white spots. Short tail, short feet, little feet.
Sometimes confused for a red tail. So.
Yes, sir.
So, they eat cottontail rabbits, typically, but they'll eat a lot of different things. I mean, so red-tailed hawks are actually opportunistic hunters. I remember one time driving down Avenue H, leaving work, and there was one on the side of the road that was eating skunk because, well, it was available, so, yeah, it was very stinky. So, but yeah, yeah.
Are they, since you just trapped it recently, are they usually that docile, just sitting on their arm, or is it just because it's a juvenile?
Well, so I've been working with him every day, probably 2+ hours every single day since I've had him. So he's used to me, he's used to my touch. He's not as tame as Chicken, but I can do similar things where I can kind of touch him and mess with him, mess with his feet, and he typically doesn't get too upset at me. So, yeah. So his name's Steve Rogers. I call him Cap for short. So, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to eventually gain them ready?
No, so I will probably, I mean, we'll see how he does hunting. I haven't taken him out hunting around at that point yet, but if he's a good hunter, I'll do what they call intermute him over the summer. I'll keep him from one season to the next, and then he'll get his red tail, and then we'll hunt maybe one more season and see. But that's the beautiful thing about having a passage bird is that you can release it back into the wild. And it's actually beneficial because 70% to 80% of red tails in their first year die. And so their mortality rate is so high that when you as a falconer take them from the wild, you actually help them increase their longevity, and so that they can, when you release them back into the wild, find a mate. To be able to find a mate and be able to reproduce and help that population. So.
How come they die? 80%?
Oh, lots of things.
Yeah, they get electrocuted, they get shot,
Need to turn the amp off.
other predators, et cetera, et cetera.
So that right there, by the way, is a sign of if you know that they're about to.
Go ahead, back there.
How often do you have to take them out to hunt? And when you're not, like, we just got this bird, what are you feeding it when you're not letting it actively hunt?
So is that for her or for me?
Both of you.
So I go as much as I can. These are not pets. These are not just to look cool, say, look what I got, look at me kind of thing. These are hunting animals. They need to go out and hunt. And that's what they do. They're hardwired for it. They need it. They have to. Otherwise, this is not the sport for anyone that is not willing to sacrifice time. You've been spending a lot of time with this bird dating to get it to be this tame, and especially in front of this crowd, it's difficult for a freshly trapped bird. She's used to it because I do a lot of these. And what was the other question? What do they hunt?
So, well, if you don't take it hunting every day, how often does it have to be? And what does it do if you're not going to do that?
Good question. So let's say we just have some storms, it's rains, it's snowing, it's hailing, whatever. I can go out and I don't want to get sick. Plus, their birds are not as pyramidal as the ducks would be. They're going to get wet, so they're not going to be able to fly. But those days that we can't hunt, there's other things we do. We do exercises to pretend we're hunting. I'll go in the garage, I'll get some tidbits of food, I'll put her on my perch, and I climb a ladder, and I go up on that ladder and make her go from the bottom of the perch all the way straight up to me to get her food. So she's still working for her food, and that's just a jump up, we call it. But we have to do something. You can't just let them sit in the meal, because it's not fair for them, but otherwise it's not something we should be doing.
And what do you feed it on those days? Do you have?
So this is how it works. Whatever we catch during the season, which starts in October all the way through March, we save. They don't eat an entire rabbit. They eat maybe a fraction of the whole rabbit. We don't waste it. We just clean it out, cut it, put it in Ziploc baggies, and freeze it. And the off season, March through October, that's what they eat, whatever they caught during the season. Now, first, just caught it, so he's going to have to spend some money buying some food, but next year, he'll be catching his own food. What's the next question?
Just for a second, but before we forget the question about why these birds die,
Oh yeah.
poison. Do not use poison on the rodents in your yard, please. The barn owls, the hawks, the eagles, all of the mountain lions, the bobcats. We get so much mange with the coyotes, the bobcats, all. They are believing now when they do a necropsy on them that they do find maybe not a huge amount of poison in their system from what they've eaten, but it's enough to take down their immune system. And that gives mange a foothold. So this trickles down all the way around, but a good portion of the deaths that we get in as rehabbers, or really sick birds, can be attributed to secondary poisoning. And if they tell you it's not secondary, don't believe it.
I have a question. How do you know that's the quote-unquote passage bird versus a local that lives the year round?
So the tail is definitely going to be your indicator. So he has, his tail is banded. This is the sign of a juvenile, is his tail. He will have a like nice, beautiful, like reddish orange tail.
Maybe I said it wrong. My question, I was thinking passage like migration.
Some do migrate, a lot of them do not. A lot of them remain residents, but here's the thing. When they fledge the nest, the parents will push them out further so they can establish their own territory. The parents don't want them around because they're going to have another round of babies. They don't want to be competing for the same food to feed the youngsters in the nest. So, but the term we use, believer, is passage.
Okay.
Yes?
how do you make the bird not just fly? Once you catch it, how come it doesn't just fly away after that?
A lot of training, a lot of manning. We spend so much time with them that they understand that I'm not gonna harm him, and I'm gonna provide him with food and the abilities to go hunt and the possibility to go out and get her own food. Now, when we initially trap them and train them, even a chamber race versus a pasture bird, when we train, we don't look them in the eye, so we do this. We don't allow them to see our eyes. If they see eye to eye, they don't like that. They think it's predator time. I need to kill. I need to go away. I need to go the opposite direction. So when I first start with a new bird, including that one, we go like this and we put a little food right here, make them bend for it, so we don't look at them in the eyes initially until we've established that bond. This is a bond that we've established with this. The wild birds. If I were to let this go, put her outside, let her go, she'll go revert back to being wild. Catch her own food, make her own nest, etc., etc., etc. Yes?
How do you know that they've come to trust you?
Before we let them go, we test them. We test them to make sure that they are going to come back. We spend so much time with them, we don't want to test. But it does happen though. With that said, it does happen. When the falconer promotes the release of the bird too early, without testing it, without proving that the bird is actually coming back, they do decide, see ya, I'm out. And so they go to the next academy and never find it. It does happen, and we test them before we let them go free to fly, to hunt. Yes, sir?
What are the consequences of poaching? And is it a problem in this area?
Poaching meaning?
Somebody takes a rifle and shoots them deliberately.
Oh, that's a crime. That's a crime. So harassing the birds, cutting their nest or the trees that the nest are in, transporting their eggs or their feathers, shooting at the bird, it's a federal crime. So stand by to stand by. And that's another thing we wanted to promote today. As well as conservation, poisoning, electrocution, people shoot them. Obviously the predators we can't do anything about. The only enemies they have are great horned owls and golden eagles. And nothing else will get them except those two. And of course, poison, cars, hit by cars, electrocuted, shot, starvation.
Are those owls around here, the ones that kill?
Yes. So typically, what will happen is when it starts to get dark, hawks are going to look for a place to roost so that they are safe and kind of covered by those trees, because their eyesight is amazing, but it's not very good at night. And so owls are the opposite. They can see really well at night, and so if they need to try to find cover, right?
That's why we hear the owls all night long.
There was a question over here.
How do you get them to bring their prey back to you?
So that's a misconception. They don't bring it back. So this is how it works. I will be ready to go. I'll take her to the field. I'll remove all of this. I'll attach telemetry so I can find her if she gets lost, and I let her go. I also let my dog go. I have a pointing dog. So my dog will find the rabbits that are hiding. Here's the thing with rabbits. When they know that there is a predator in the sky, meaning a hawk, they'll freeze. They'll turn like a little rock. If they just slightly twitch, the hawk knows they're there, so they'll go after it. So they freeze. My dog's job is to go find it and flush it when I give her the direction. Once the rabbit's running, the hawk will go after it, catch it, do her thing with the talons, and hold it. And I'll just walk up to her, let her eat what she needs to eat. I'll pick her up, put my dog on a leash, and go back to my truck, go home.
Hey, Alex, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to show them this because this is.
Got to put up?
He's got it put up. So, you want to explain it? Okay. So, this is a really, really good thing. I'm actually kind of in shock that he's doing this right now. This means he's that comfortable with y'all staring at him. Because this is what they do when they get comfortable. When they feel like they are safe, they will put up a foot and they will tuck it up in, and they will just sit there, and that's a sign of contentment. So. Yeah.
If someone finds an injured bird or a sick bird, what should they do?
So the reason why I'm here today, out of the city of Redlands, where I work, is because of this lady right here. She's been instrumental to the city of Redlands, helping us deal with all of our wildlife when it comes to hawks or birds of prey. Every time I find one, somebody calls me, I will refer them to her, and she's been always more than happy to take those birds. She's even willing to drive to Redlands to pick up the birds. So I offered to put some money together for her, but she won't let me. But I think I will eventually not ask her. I know she does this out of her own time and out of her own dime. And I think it's fair that we help her out with something. At some point, I will put something together for her, because she's, again, the reason why I'm here is I told the city, I'm gonna go help Candy, who helped us out with our birds of prey, that need help. You know, and so of course, we want to help the wildlife as much as possible. So thank you, Candy, for helping us out.
Where do you keep your birds when you're not having a hunt?
That's a good question. So we have to build an enclosure mandated by the federal government, which is 8 by 8 by 8. That's the minimum standard. That's just so the bird doesn't touch the walls if it's sitting in the middle. And it's called a mew. It's not a, some people call it a cage. It's not a cage, it's a mew. It's an enclosure. It has water, has drainage, has ventilation, has light. So it's an enclosure. So it's bigger than a shed, let's put it that way. But doesn't look like a shed, it has a lot more things to it.
The little hawk house.
You have budgies and they will do the same thing by putting their foot up and they feel happy.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
What do you have?
You have a question?
Budgies?
Yes.
During the mating season, do you have a tendency of having a little bit of birds so you don't lose them till May? Or will they bring the other birds?
No, so the mating of the hawks is a little more complicated. They spend a lot of time together hunting first before they accept each other as a mate. But what happens if we try to fly them during mating season, which is now, this resident red-tails will drive us out. They'll chase her out of the field. So I just need to be careful. I need to respect their territory and go somewhere else. Somebody asked me that yesterday. Yeah, I'm not worried about her finding some a mate right there on the spot. But I'm afraid of those two dive bombing her, because they can injure her, they can kill her. They can grab her, they'll kill her.
And
she's in their territory.
with that, I was gonna say, did you talk about the difference between Harris hawks and hunting versus red tails?
No.
Okay. Because, do you want me to?
Go for it.
Okay. I was like, I don't want to take
I'm testing her expertise right now.
Yes, he is totally.
See if she passed or failed.
Yeah. Well, so Harris hawks are a social bird of prey, and so they can hunt in packs. They're known as the wolves of the sky. Versus red tails do not, unless they are mated. So if you see two that are flying together, that's because they are a pair. You will not find, like Alex and I could not go out at the same time and release them both together. They just do not work that way. Chicken can hunt with another Harris hawk because of that social aspect, but cap here is more territorial. So, yeah.
Oh, good. Owls, talking about owls and red tails.
Yeah, that was my question. I mean, those are collaborative hunters, and I know you said you have to.
Yeah.
Do you actually fly them together?
Yes, this is so much more fun. They get to learn their methods of flying, and so one will go low, the other one will go high.
Right.
One of them go short, the other one go long. I mean, that's just amazing to see them go after jackrabbits. That's another thing I didn't mention. I think she's about 2 pounds, 1,000 grams. I don't know. Somebody look it up on me. They can take down a 6-pound jackrabbit. 6-pound jackrabbit, 2 pounds. What was it?
It was 2.2.
2.2.
Yeah.
So 2 pounds versus 6 pounds, and they can take down a full-grown jackrabbit in full sprint.
And then,
How fast can they die?
I'm sorry?
How fast
What's that?
do they die?
These guys are not known for diving. Falcons are. A falcon was put on a telemetry and dropped from a balloon, and that falcon dove 240 miles an hour. Their body just boards into like a blade, just so they can drop faster. It's on, I think it's on YouTube. You can look it up. Fastest bird in the world, 240 mile an hour. You'll find it. It's a peregrine falcon. Yes.
And that weight, that 2.2 or the 1,000 grams, is that their fly weight, or do you have like a window for that fly weight?
That is her flying weight.
Okay.
When she's off season, she's about 1,200 grams. When I begin my season, she's about 960. But on the average, to get a good response and a good hunting response from her, it's 1,000 grams. Now, the average female hair's hawk is about 930 grams. That's the average. She's bigger than average, so she flies about 1,000. At 930, she'll be too weak. She'll look at the rabbit and fly down to the ground and run to it. That means she's condition is too low, so she needs to be up high. At that weight, 1,000 grams is ideal for her. She'll go a long distance for a meal.
How do we get involved in that?
On what?
Falconing,
Falconry?
falconry.
Well, you can start by doing some research, but I'm going to tell you, it's very addicting, but it's also something you have to dedicate a lot of time to.
Like, what can we do as a community to help you guys and like Candy, do the things that you guys are doing?
Well, for me personally, I appreciate that nothing, but for Candy, a lot. I can help her maybe with food. Sometimes she needs supplies for her chambers, for the enclosures. She does a lot for Redlands, so I'll do whatever I can for her. But yeah, so I think she's the one that could use a lot of the help, especially if she does this on her own time and out of her own pocket. And the food is not cheap.
And also, oh sorry, I was just saying also sharing with other people about, you know, not using poison, because not only affects birds of prey, but I mean, even just a rat getting a hold of that and going from one neighbor's house to another. We actually lost a dog that way. So it can happen to your dog's
You're
cats.
allowing that Roundup that they sell at Home Depot, and that's poison.
Is Leslie still here?
Yes, she's over there.
Put your hand up. I'd like to point out Leslie from Pond Digger Ranch. Someone else you can help. They have a foundation. They have a foundation, and she took almost all the animals off the stinking apple fire and rehabbed them. And they have a great program there.
Also, I have to give credit to Jeff Higgins, who's sitting back here filming, and is of Redlands Buzz fame, and Martha Sadler. They work with Leslie and I doing transport, and that's a big deal. I'm getting older and more decrepit, and out and about, and if I get a call on an animal that needs to be picked up, either one of these two are just, in an instant, they'll up and go and do the pickup for us and get it to, they deliver to Leslie, they deliver to me. And Leslie, how many raccoons did you do this year, this past year?
I still have
60 something raccoons. She does our mammals and our small birds, so, yeah.
Okay, you would want to stay in contact. Where's information? Who do we contact? Where do we get phone number from? What are the hours? What are your first name, last name? Where do we go for this information?
Okay, are you on Facebook at all, or any kind of, okay. You can find us on Facebook. Since the internet hit, we're all over everywhere. You can Google wildlife rehab, and all kinds of contacts will come up. Mostly it'll be Leslie and Pond Digger and myself. And there'll be a few others scattered through, but there are very few of us who are licensed. And some of the ones, you don't want to go with anybody who doesn't have license. Some of the ones who were licensed have now retired, including Lenore. She abandoned me. I'll never forgive her. But you can Google and see what pops up. But I'm Bear Pond Ranch in Oak Glen. Leslie is Pond Digger Ranch in Cherry Valley. And we each have our specialties, and if I get a call and it's not what I do, then I send it to you and vice versa.
Just know that if you have a cock with a broken wing, it's probably gonna be put down. I'll just tell you that up front. People think that we're gonna say that broken wings, broken bones, and hawks are very difficult, very costly to repair. Because if the bird fell off a nest, ran into a window, it's a little confused, fidgets most of the time, that she can rehab. But if it's got obviously broken wing, you're not gonna be safe. You live in Redlands, just call Animal Control. If I'm on duty, I'll usually respond and pick it up from you. I don't have the ability to rehab. That's why we refer to Candy for that, which is the one to give you the truth. If it has a broken wing, it's not going to be recurring. Broken legs, yes. My other one is on loan. The other haircock had a broken toe, and we put a cast on it, and the whole thing, and meant it, and we went hunting a month after. So, yes, you had a question.
What about enemies?
The enemies are greyhound owls and golden eagles. Those are the only two natural enemies, and humans.
I have a question. How many the golden eagles are in this area? Do you know what I'm saying?
I haven't seen them in a while. I haven't seen them a lot. I haven't seen them. Yes.
I have two questions. So why would you choose like over a red-tailed hawk versus a kestrel? Why would you make that choice? It's like,
That's a great question. So as an apprentice, you know, this is the most versatile bird of the two. American kestrels are great, but they are a little bit more difficult to manage there. And then because they're so small, I mean, they're probably about yay big. They're much smaller, and they're not as hardy. So if you're not careful with their weight and know how to manage that, you could end up killing them more easily. That is very much less likely to happen with a red-tailed, yeah.
got it. And then my other question, how long does a falconer usually keep a bird? Like, is it to the life of the bird? Is it?
It kind of depends. Yeah, it kind of depends. Chamber raised cannot be released into the wild. So the only way that you can essentially get rid of it is to be able to transfer. Thank you. Over to another falconer. And you can transfer ownership with a passage. You can release him at any time. For me, as an apprentice, I mean, so far he's been great. We'll see how he is as a hunter. I probably will keep him for at least a couple of seasons, but I'm excited to try, you know, a female. Females are a lot larger. They're gonna just be a little bit different hunting, I guess, hunting style. And every bird is different. So you just, I think it just kind of, that's the joy of it, is you get to experience different personalities in the birds. But being that he is so calm, it's going to be hard to get rid of him because he's been awesome so far. So.
And by the way, the United